Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to One Code Camp. This is Justin, and in today's video, we're diving into the basics of Java programming. Loops are one of the most powerful tools in programming. They allow us to repeat a block of code multiple times without writing the same code over and over. In Java, we have three main types of loops: for, while, and do while. Let's break these down step by step and see how they can simplify your programs. Let's start with the for loop. We use a for loop when we know exactly how many times we want to repeat a task. Here's how it works. The for loop has three parts: initialization, condition, and increment or decrement. Let me type out an example so you can see it in action. To begin, let us make use of our for keyword to indicate our for loop, followed by our parentheses and our opening and closing curly braces. Inside this parentheses, we will put the three parts, which are initialization, the condition, and our increment or decrement. Here, inside our opening and closing curly braces, we will put our block of code that will be executed if our condition is being satisfied here. So let us begin with our initialization. Int I is equal to 1. The int I is equal to 1 here initializes the variable I to 1. This is where our loop starts. We will separate the initialization, condition, and increment, or each of the part, with a semicolon here. Next is our condition. Let's say I is less than or equal to 5. The I is less than or equal to 5 here is our condition. It keeps the loop running. As long as I is less than or equal to 5, the loop continues. And lastly, let's add our increment, I++. The I++ here increments the value of I by 1 after each iteration. Let's run this code and see what happens. Actually, let me first add our line of code here. Let's say, let's count, or let's go through each of our iteration. All right, so let's run this code and see what happens. You'll notice it prints iteration 1, iteration 2, and so on up to 5. That's the power of a for loop. It automates repetitive tasks for you. Now, let's move on to the while loop. This is used when you are not sure how many times the loop should run, but you know the condition that needs to be met. Let's write an example. First, let me comment this out. And let's go under our while loop. Comment here. We'll start by typing in our while keyword, which indicates our while loop. Again, we will add our parentheses, where we will put our condition and our opening and closing curly braces that indicates the line of code that will be run in our loop. So here, let's say, let me declare a variable, int count is equal to 1. And let's add our condition here. Count is less than or equal to 5. And we'll print our line of code here. So we start by initializing the count variable to 1, as you can see here. And then the while loop keeps running as long as the condition count is less than or equal to 5 is true. If this is true, the line of code here will be executed. Inside the loop, we print the value of count. So this is the value of our count, and we will increment it by 1. Let's run this code and see how it works. Just like the for loop, the while loop iterates from 1 to 5. The difference is that the condition is checked before the block of code runs each time. The do-while loop is a bit different. It guarantees that the code inside the loop runs at least once, even if the condition is false. Let's see an example. Say we want to initialize a variable number equal to 6. Here, let's type our do-while example. First is to type the do keyword and then our pair of opening and closing curly braces. This is where we will put the line to be executed. Next, we will add the while loop after our opening and closing curly braces, or specifically our closing curly braces here, and add our parentheses. This is where we will put our condition. So let's say we want to print number and the current value of our number, which in our case here is equal to 6. Don't forget the semicolons to terminate your line of code. And then inside our block here, we can increment the number or the current value of our number. The do block here executes first. So this part. This will be executed first, printing the current value of our number, which is 6. Only after the block runs does it check the condition. Like, for example, let's add our condition here. Number is less than or equal to 5. As you can see, the number is not less than or equal to 5 because the current value is 6, right? Let me clear this first. So the current value is 6. So this condition, 6 less than or equal to 5. Since this is not true, for example, in our previous loops, it will not be executed. However, as I mentioned earlier, for the do-while loop, it guarantees that the block of code inside your do block will be executed before checking the condition. Again, we will first run this code regardless of whether it is true or it satisfies the conditions. Then after this is run, then we will check the condition here. So your code is guaranteed to run at least once. So let me run this program to see the output. As you can see, we have our output here. Number is equal to 6. When we run this, you'll see that it prints the value of 6 even though the condition is false right away. This is useful for scenarios where you want to guarantee that your code runs at least once before checking the condition. Sometimes though, you need more control over your loops. That's where the break and continue come in. Let me show you how they work. Let me close this for now, and let's erase all of these examples. And then this time we will talk about our break and our continue keyword. Let's first talk about our break keyword. Let me show you an example. Let's make use of our for loop. Initialize our variable to 1. Add our condition, I is less than or equal to 5. And increment our I value. So this loop will run through 5 iterations, as you have seen earlier. Let's add a condition here. What if during our iterations here, we want to stop at a certain condition? Let me add our condition. I is equal to 3. So we can add our break keyword here to exit our loop. And let's add some print here, let's say the value. Let's print each of the value of I to see where the loop breaks. So here in our loop, the break statement stops the loop entirely when I is equal to 3. To show this, let me run this output. As you can see, the current value or the first value of I is equal to 1. Since I is equal to 1, we will check the condition next. Is 1 less than or equal to 5? Since that is true, or that condition is true, we will run our line of code, this block. So it will check if the current value of our I is equal to 3. Since I is currently equal to 1, it will bypass this condition. Instead, it will run our line of code here, which is the value of our I. That's why you can see a value I here. After this is executed, we will increment the value of I. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, since we have incremented the value of I, the current value of I is equal to 2. It will then check if 2 is less than or equal to 5. Since that condition is true, 2 is indeed less than or equal to 5, we will run our code block again. Let me clear all of the annotations here first. As I mentioned, I is currently equal to 2. So since that is true, we will run this block of code. It will check if 2 is equal to 3. Since it is not, it will bypass this condition. And we will run this line of code. This line of code will be ran. That's why we can see the current value of I, which is equal to 2 here. And then after this is executed, we will then again increment the value of I. I is now equal to 3. Is I less than or equal to 5, or is 3 less than or equal to 5? Since that is true, we will proceed to this block of code again. And we will check if 3 is equal to 3. Since this condition is met, we will break or exit the loop. So we will not print this any longer. That's why you cannot see value 3 and so on. Because we already stopped in our third value. Now what if we want to only skip 3? That's where the keyword continue comes in. Let me clear all of this first. And let's proceed to our continue keyword. So let's say, let's initialize a value of I equal to 1. I is less than or equal to 5. Similar to what we had earlier. And I++. Let's add our opening and closing curly braces. And inside this, let's say if I is equal to 3, we will continue. So the difference here is instead of exiting from the loop, it will skip the current iteration. So let's print our value here. Let's see what the output of this code will be. Let me maximize this. So as you can see, we have our output here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, the third iteration is skipped. Similar to what we had earlier, I is initialized to 1. And since 1 is less than or equal to 5, we will proceed to this block of code here. And first, we will check if I is equal to 3. Since this is not, the answer here is false to this Boolean expression, we will just go ahead and print the value of I. That's why we got the value of 1, similar to what I have mentioned earlier. That's the same thing for our second value. However, when we go through our third value, since 3 is equal to 3, we will skip the current iteration. Since we used to continue, we will not exit the loop entirely, but we will just proceed to add 1. So the next value after 3 will be 4, and 4 will have the same the same operation as our 1 and 2 here. As you can see, if I maximize this and clear all of the annotations. Actually, let me repeat this. So here's the output. 1, 2, 4, 5. Only 3 is skipped. The continue statement skips the iteration when I is equal to 3, but lets the loop keep running for the other values. And that concludes our discussion for loops. Let's summarize what we have learned today. First, we discussed about the for loop, which is great when you know the number of iterations. Next, we discussed the while loop, which is used when you have a condition-based loop. Next, we have our do while loop. This one ensures the code runs at least once. And lastly, we have our break and continue to control the loop execution. In the next video, we'll learn about arrays in Java, which will let us work with collections of data. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to OneCodeCamp for more Java tutorials. See you in our next video.